Joining us on the phone line right now after former RBI governor is, of course, former Finance Minister Chidambaram, who's been writing on this. He's, in fact, very shortly tweeted that he's saddened, but he's not surprised. And may I begin with that obvious question. Did you see the writing on the wall? Had things reached to a point where quitting for the RBI governor was the only option? Or has he reacted a little prematurely, like some people are saying? Are you at all surprised with this resignation?
Not at all. In fact,
Yes.
according to me, Dr. Patel should have resigned on November 19 when the government tried to humiliate him at that meeting. Now, I'm glad that he did not go to another humiliating meeting next week. Hello.
Yes, sir. You are glad that he did not go into another humiliating meeting, but what will this mean as far as the credibility of the RBI is concerned, sir?
The credibility of RBI was severely damaged on November 8, 2016. It hasn't salvaged its reputation so far. Talk to any central banker, past, present. No one believes that the RBI is being allowed to function as an independent central bank. The events of the last 3 to 4 weeks have made it clear that this government is determined to raid the reserves of the RBI. And Dr. Patel and Dr. Acharya are the men standing in the way. This government will go to any extent to remove any obstacle. They have done it by humiliating him publicly, through interviews, through articles.
Sir, the reason why I asked that, sure. So the reason why I asked that question is, do you believe the immediate trigger for this resignation has been the whole attempt to make RBI a more board-governed institution? Because the same Dr. Urjit Patel was very pliable during demonetization. He didn't seem to have protested then. What has been such a trigger now? A lot of questions are being asked on that front.
He should not have bowed down to the government's demand on demonetization. He made a grave mistake, a mistake that has blotted his career. Remember, it was the UPA which appointed him as deputy governor. Be that as it may, the events of the last 4 weeks have made it absolutely clear that this government will not let the RBI function as an independent central bank. The whole idea of making it a board-controlled or board-governed company of sorts is an obnoxious idea. Nowhere in the world is a central bank a board-managed or a board-controlled company. When at the meeting it was pretty clear that the government was determined to push its agenda through nominated directors, and many of them have conflicts of interest. Not that they have wrong intentions, but they are clearly conflicted, and such people can't be governors of a central bank by remote controlling the governor. And I think, therefore, Dr. Patel should have resigned on November 19 itself.
Right. Mr. Chidambaram, if I may take my next question, and that obviously points me in the direction of the big issues between the RBI and the government, whether it was reserve sharing, whether it was excessive liquidity for NBFCs, whether it was PCA norm dilution. These were obvious fault lines in relationship between the RBI and the government. They couldn't see eye to eye. In some way, does his ouster make it easy for the government to push through this agenda?
Well, there's no governor now. They can't push through any agenda. They'll have to first appoint a governor, and that will betray the government's true intentions. If they appoint, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this government appoints a quack as an RBI governor. Let's see who they appoint as RBI governor, and that appointment will tell us how the story will unfold in the future.
What we are given to understand from New Delhi at this point in time is that the government may want to go back to the tried tested formula of having ex-bureaucrats or, career bureaucrats as RBI governors, because the experiment with the economists, quote unquote, hasn't taken off very well, both in the case of Dr. Urjit Patel and his predecessor, Dr. Raghuram Rajan. Will you be surprised, and do you believe that is going to mitigate the tension between the government and RBI if indeed a bureaucrat is put at the helm of affairs?
We won't put anything beyond this government. If they appoint an ex-bureaucrat, if they choose him after profiling him, he is most likely to be a person who will do their bidding. So why should there be tension after that? Then the RBI becomes a department of the government of India.
Fair point. What also happens to, sir, all the ongoing inquiries, the parliamentary questioning of, various issues, whether it is NPA or demonetization and things like that, where Governor Patel was appearing and was giving his testimony? What happens to all of that? Does it all go back to square one?
It doesn't. Whatever Governor Patel has said is on the record. When there is a new person, let's wait to see what the new person will say. He'll probably contradict everything Dr. Patel has said.